In the first installment of this series, we began looking at the story of Candace Owens, how I first came across her content, what initially drew me in, and the moments that eventually made me start questioning the narrative surrounding her commentary. But as I started digging into her rise a little deeper, another part of the story began to emerge. Because when Candace Owens first exploded onto the political scene, the reaction wasn't just enthusiasm with a rapid growing audience. There was also people watching closely from the outside, other creators, commentators, independent journalists, and some of them began asking questions about the same patterns that many viewers were only starting to notice much later. Questions about her messaging, the way her arguments were framed, and the speed at which her platform seemed to grow. In this episode, we're going to continue working through that early period, the moment when Candace Owens went from an internet personality to one of the most recognizable voices in political commentary. We'll also continue reading through the Candace Owens Undone series from House and Habit, which documents parts of that rise and the people who began scrutinizing it along the way. Because the more you look at the timeline, the clearer it becomes. The story of Candace Owens didn't unfold the way most people think it did. And some of the earliest questions about it were being asked long before most of her audience ever heard them. This is part 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to all the new subscribers the channel's gotten recently. Glad you're here. Okay, so this episode just starts right with the continued reading of the House and Habit article, Candace Owens Undone. It was a big, long episode, parts 1 and 2, that I broke up. So that's just where we're starting out on this episode. So let's do this. There was also an early echo of the bombastic self-promotion snideness and attachment to performed conclusions that would one day dazzle millions. Hey guys, so it's that time where I need to ask you to subscribe to the channel, and if you're already subscribed, just hit the like, please. If you don't do this, I will be abducted by aliens. Thanks! In October 2015, she wrote, Degree 180 launched a full-scale investigation into the blank crazy antics of the Republican Tea Party. The good news is they will eventually die off, and then we can get right on with the obvious social change that needs to happen immediately. Okay, in 2016, she focused on a new adventure, Social Autopsy, an anti-bullying platform that claimed it would expose anonymous online harassment by doxing users for bad behavior, her version of a social credit score. The CCP would be proud, one user comment wrote. It didn't go over well. Many saw it as a tool to bully people. Her Kickstarter raised less than $5,000.
It is Candace Owens, the founder of socialautopsy.com. We have gotten so many comments, questions, and concerns written in about our database from some of the articles that ran about it, as well as some of the social media work we've been doing trying to spread the word, and we figured why not get it all in one spot and do a live FAQ. I guess it's technically not live, but you know what I mean. How long do profiles last? Good question. Profiles last for 365 days. After a 1-year span, if the user that has been submitted hasn't done anything else hasn't really said anything that's bad. We totally believe in forgiveness and second chances, and we will drop their name from our database forever. This next question is very alarming to me. People keep writing in asking us, how is this legal? This worries me because I think people are actually shocked that the internet is public. That's the best way that I can answer this question. The internet is public. We are not hacking into your computers or breaking into your houses and stealing hard drives. You guys are putting all this information out there and we are just aggregating it. So it's legal because if I can do a Google search and find out all this information, if I want to put it somewhere else, that's all completely fair use. I hope that answers your question. This was a comment from Erin from Connecticut. She said, the site this woman created actually can be used to bully if used improperly. Not that great. Thank you, Erin, but that is actually not correct. So two things. The first is that we don't allow any commenting on our database because we do not want to foster any of the bullying that we are trying to rid the internet of. The second really important factor is that we do not allow people to search by keyword, meaning you can't go to our database and plug in Beyonce and then look at all the comments that were written regarding Beyonce and consider yourself a vigilante and trying to find those people and doing things to them. You also can't search our database for, homophobia and then think that it's going to pull all of the comments that were written that were homophobic. It just doesn't work like that. You have to search our database by name, meaning that you have to actually know who you are looking for, which significantly decreases the chance that anyone can abuse our database and use it for bullying. What if somebody creates a fake Facebook profile and so the screenshots that are being submitted aren't real? That is a fair question. I think that the most obvious way to answer that is just to say, if somebody creates a fake Facebook profile pretending to be you, you've got a bigger problem than social autopsy, right? Your first problem is that someone has created a fake profile pretending to be you, which we have seen before. Obviously, we all know what a catfish is in this generation. We're a secondhand problem and not one that's really that much of a threat. We allow you to write to us, and we will investigate every claim if someone is purporting to be you. And no matter what, in 365 days, it completely wipes from our database. So again, your focus should be on the fact that somebody is pretending to be you. We are not the first database that allows people to create user profiles. I could go on Facebook right now and say I'm Barack Obama. We're not reinventing the wheel here, and some of the questions that we're getting make it sound like, oh my God, what if someone makes a fake profile? You can do that on Twitter, you can do that on Instagram, you can do that, on Facebook. So we're not exactly your biggest issue. With that said, if we do investigate and we are able to identify, obviously we do pull user information when things are submitted, that somebody did falsify a profile. What we will then do is create a profile for that person, since it is technically their words, and those profiles will never be removed from our database. The 365-day clause does not apply to anybody that has falsified any screenshots. So keep it honest. What about minors? We are seeing a lot of people that are showing concern for minors, and I guess it's sort of a two-pronged approach, which is first, you guys should be visiting the terms of service on Facebook and on Twitter because they thoroughly explain what it means.
Okay, so that is that. I will leave that linked below as well. That same year, Candace published an extremely long tirade attacking two high-profile left-wing anti-Gamergate activists. In it, she claimed that the alleged actions of Zoe Quinn and Randy Harper had changed her political views. She later began referring to herself as a former liberal and shut down Degree 180, later elaborating in 2017 that the failed Kickstarter taught her that liberals were the real racists and the real trolls. In January 2017, Candace was evicted from her 17-story luxury apartment at the Beacon in Stamford, Connecticut, which she rented for $3,550 a month. Following proceedings in Norwalk Housing Court, she stopped paying rent roughly 6 months earlier. In August 2017, she sued the property owner, BLT, for $15,000, alleging the apartment was filled with mold and had damaged her health. Candace claimed the harm included systematic yeast infections, wheezing, scars requiring laser removal, eczema, and an inability to think clearly, and several other elements. BLT countersued for $21,300 in back rent plus legal expenses. On April 1st, 2021, Candace was ordered to pay the back rent along with legal costs. Throughout this period, she alleged that Zoe Quinn and Randy Harper were secret cyber terrorists who had torpedoed her Kickstarter campaign and orchestrated a racially abusive harassment effort against her, including claims that Quinn used 4chan to excite anonymous emails filled with racial slurs. She further accused Quinn and Harper of being fraudulent anti-bully activists who targeted Social Autopsy because it threatened their own business model. Okay, so this behavior, this pattern of behavior with her is something that you will see often, where when she does something that people find outrageous, she immediately will start accusing them of attacking her and turn herself into the victim. So she will become the victim because people will call out what she's doing, and then she turns it on them and make it seem like they're the ones causing all the problems, when really she's doing it to herself. And this whole Gamergate thing was something she kind of brought on herself. I have a video of people talking about her back during this time when this was happening. And this is what she's also doing with the Charlie Kirk quotations investigation that she's doing, because when people rightly call out how despicable she's being and how she's just completely making up lies, she turns it back on them as if they must be getting paid. They must really care about what she's saying. Why is it bothering people so much? Oh, that's suspicious. I'm being attacked for no reason. So let's go see what people were saying back then. This is from 8 years ago. The channel's called Some Black Guy, and the video is called The Red Pill Black, Candace Owens Controversy, featuring Andy Worski, Blair White, and more. And we're going to skip through this video as much as possible and just see what, how people were feeling about her back then. Because you're going to hear a lot of the same language that I was just saying and that the woman writing this article was just saying.
No, just kidding.
Can you imagine? I obviously know that.
Alex Jones helping her. Hang on,
Yeah,
I'll do this.
we got this for you. We got this.
We got your back.
Oh man. So hey, how's it going, everybody? So obviously you can see that I'm here with Andy Worski, one of my good nibbers on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
One of the good guys. And so we're gonna talk about the controversy. Everybody pretty much knows, kind of has an idea what the hell is going on. But I want to get my 2 cents because I haven't said anything. Now I did do all right, let me pull this a little bit closer. I want to get intimate with you guys. All right, so I did do a on Twitch. I talked about it and I was playing Cuphead, but that was it was a little bit too hard to, I did it before when I was talking about Thomas Smith, but that wasn't too hard. But I was really trying to articulate my thoughts, and it wasn't working out so well, so I didn't post the video because I didn't really like how it came out, because I was just getting my ass handed to me in Cuphead because it was second to the last boss. And so what I want to do with Andy's made a few videos on Candace Owens, Red Pill Black, and I want to go through some of that stuff, but I want to kind of start from the beginning, especially for people that have kind of missed everything, for some people that are kind of like, wait, what the hell's going on, and kind of just start from the beginning, and so people can understand all the sides, what everybody's saying, and why there's like conspiracies on like multiple ends that are actually kind of springing up. There's people saying there's a conspiracy against Candace, but then at the same time they're saying that Candace is making up conspiracies, and I actually see that. I see both things happening. So first thing I want to do is I want to say that the first time I thought I discovered Candace was through Dave Rubin. Now I've heard of Red Pill Black. I've heard like all this buzzword. I heard it buzzing, and I was just like, oh, okay. But I honestly, I was like, well, dude, I have enough YouTube channels I subscribe to. I'm good. I was like, I'm good, just to be honest. And so I saw the Rubin report because I actually watched his stuff, and then I thought, okay, whatever. Didn't even cross my mind. So I talked to hear talk about it. Did not even cross my mind, knowing that was the doxing website. I had completely forgotten about it, and I knew about it because when I saw Jeff Holiday make a video. Jeff Holiday made a video about it, and then he also mentioned other people that made a video about Social Autopsy, and he mentioned Chris Reagan's video. So I clicked the link, and I liked the video. So like, I saw it, but I just don't even remember that. I was just like, oh, okay, so she's been around for a while, but then she claimed in Dave Rubin's interview, and maybe even before that was the moment around that Social Autopsy thing when Zoe Quinn was kind of trying to take her down, allegedly. and that was the red pill moment. That was when she kind of realized how toxic these regressive liberals are acting, and she wanted no part of it. Now, did you, when you saw that in the Room Report, did you think that was genuine? Did everything sound good to you? Did you watch that?
Oh, the Room Report? Yeah, no, I did watch that, and I was like you, I had no idea. In fact, I had never even heard of social autopsy at all, and I did watch that Ruben. Well, like you, I was sort of like, I'm sub to a lot of channels. Like, I'm not about to follow someone new. Like, I don't really care. I didn't really look too deep into it. When I heard like anti-bullying site, I mean, in theory, that sounds fantastic, but nothing crossed my mind as fishy, because usually when there's an anti-SJW, you sort of agree with most of their points, so you sort of go, yeah, and benefit of the doubt, right? Comes,
Yeah.
Like, so, but. And then how I figured the social autopsy thing out was I saw someone had sent me Tree of Logic's video. When I watched it, I was like, I had like chills. I was like, this is great. So I did some research on it. And then I saw Chris Ray Gunn was like the first link on when I searched social autopsy. And I was like, 2016, what the hell? And then I started seeing that along the way videos on her in the past and all that. So then I started looking deeper into it. And when I talked to Tree of Logic, which is rare because her and I have butted heads a lot in the past.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, in fact, she was saying, oh, like I hated you, but for now, let's just team up and see what's up and look deeper into this. Now, Tree of Logic, this was after my first video, right? So pretty much just talking about how the site was still up. And Candace's explanation for that was I didn't want to hide the fact that I had made that. So it's sort of like who like how she was made. And she keeps saying it was a splash page. It's not a real website. When Tree of Logic then privately told me that her docs was on that website, and like her name and where she lives and her picture and everything.
Did she have proof of that? I mean, like, me just like.
Well, no, she didn't, because that's when so I'm just taking her word for it. But a Tree of Logic, once Candace figured out that she was doing this like piece on her and looking deeper into her past, and had asked Candace to remove the docs or the doxes, so she would find out that her docs was on that website, was when Candace didn't reply.
So the thing with this website that she was building, the social autopsy thing, somehow, for some reason, it had people's full names and their addresses and stuff on it. I'm still a little confused why and how they got there, but it was a lot of conservative people and even minors, and that's why Zoe Quinn and other people in the Gamergate situation on both sides got mad at Candace, because they were like, this is extremely dangerous. And at the time, it was extremely dangerous to be a conservative. It still is now, but it was even more of a charged time period during that time. And so people were really freaked out that their names and pictures and full addresses were able to be seen on the site.
Or anything, but remove the About Me and FAQ page, which then we were like, why not just delete the whole website?
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, okay, the site's inactive, whatever. And then a lot of people started emailing me and DMing me all these backlinks. So I was able to actually find people's doxes and like their like faces. And the video I made today actually was me looking for people on that page for their Facebook profiles and making sure. And I actually had someone who I was talking to, I'm not gonna mention names, but I was screen sharing at the exact same time. And we were both looking through all the Facebook profiles, because we thought she may have made those up to sort of test the website, which I was hoping, but no, it was real people. And in fact, most of them were from Texas. I just noticed, there was just one thing I noticed. And
they were from Texas, right?
Yeah, yes. So it was all from Texas, and the people had recently posted, so it was not like inactive Facebook profiles. And the one thing that we wanted to know was, first of all, why didn't you erase the video in the first place? And a lot of people's theories was for tax purposes. If she had made money using that website, erasing all the evidence of that would harm her taxes or something. She needed like proof basically that the site existed. So we were like, well, at least deactivate the site. And then finally, after all the pressure we put on her, she finally did. Now the thing that we're all talking about, like you were saying, is the big conspiracy. First, I want to say like real fast, people who are saying she's an SJW, who's like a plant and she's hiding out, she's trying to fit, that we have no evidence on. So that I'm going to sort of dismiss for now, because the problem is, if we make an accusation with no evidence, she can, and she has been defending that weak argument. We can only argue the facts and what we have, and then that she won't be able to talk about, which she hasn't been. And in the morning, she was talking about how it was a splash page, and boom, like my video today, we found all the doxes, we found them on Facebook, it was not a splash page. And even if she had just pulled in random people, from Facebook to be part of this website, like, and they weren't trolls or whatever, or their stuff, she's still taking innocent people on Facebook and associating it with that website, if the website had launched. And then another conspiracy was she's launching the website soon, which I heard from many people, but no evidence.
But where did that come from? Yeah, so that's
there's a lot of people just like mailing me. She was saying, and I guess what people thought was when they were putting in their emails, which did work on the website 2 days ago. So Jeff Holiday and Barbara put in their email. When you hit send, and it sent you a confirmation back. It came back with, where we will tell you when we launch the website. Like,
I see. I mean, but that could just be an old fucker, that she never got rid of. Because even
exactly.
I remember in my Patreon, I don't remember what it used to say, but I updated it. Like, say when you become a patron of mine, it sends you an email, and it's like, so it just sounded a little bit. And I want to examine, like, say, why people possibly think that she's a shill, or she's a double agent, she's COINTELPRO, or whatever. But I do want to examine that, and I also want to say that I understand some people's concerns of why. Now, yeah, like you already said, there's no evidence of that, and I completely agree with that. And one of the reasons why I haven't said anything yet, and why I was kind of on the fence about this, was the type of evidence that was coming out. How easy is it to just go the room report, everything? Just her explanations, not only on Infowars, on the room report, everything that she's been saying has not been enough. It's not been enough. How easy is it to just go, oh yeah, this was a doxing website. I fucked up. I'm sorry.
That's all I've been saying in my videos. If you just admit it, and now her saying that it was a splash page, I took that piece from Barbara, and I was talking to Barbara in the morning too, obviously politely. I was like, here's what I found, but it was Barbara's video.
Candace Owens is not going to admit that she's wrong or say sorry when she does something wrong. She is never going to do something like that. And all she ever does is lie. And that's what people back then, before she had a whole lot of clout, were noticing, that she was lying about this whole situation, and she kept on lying and making new lie after new lie. And it's just interesting to listen to these people talk, because this was back when she just became a conservative, and it gets even more interesting. But the behavior that they notice coming from Candace Owens is the same behavior that everyone is dealing with today.
Was the thing that actually allowed me to find the link of all the archive stuff from Social Autopsy, to find everyone's Facebook. I found everyone's docs because Dave Cullen, aka Computing Forever, had wrote a comment that was a top comment. And then when you open up the show comments, like the replies rather, someone named Tomcat had links. So if anyone wants to see that, you could hit that link from Tomcat on Computing Forever's comment on Barbara's video. Hit that link, you'll see the list, and search everyone on Facebook. You could find everyone's Facebook. So Barbara's video, like you said, and I told Barbara, I'm like, it's fine. Like, she was like a bit embarrassed. Like, oh, maybe I didn't look too deep into this. I'm like, you didn't pick sides. You were just giving her a platform to talk on, which is completely fine. You should always be able to go on and defend yourself when people are accusing you of something. In fact, if she watches this or like any of my videos, I say, come on, Worski Live, we'll chat. I'm not gonna be a dick about it. Nor do I think we should just go, all right, that's it. No second chances. Because we all, and I mean, hers is big, but again, if she did change, she was in that mindset back then. Right. So therefore, it makes sense that she would have done something so stupid.
Yeah. And I want to say something as a disclaimer, because somebody even kind of brought it up. They're saying that it wasn't a doxing website. That was just the end result. And to a certain extent, I agree with that, because I know that her heart was in the right place as far as I can tell. Which I think that there's something that I'm going to say this, and then I want to go back to, like, say, why people are talking about the conspiracies or the theories is she seemed like she was coming from a good place, and she kept saying that it's anti-bullying, like she really wanted to do something about that. But it's like, the way you're going about it is straight up doxing. So it's wrong, dude. It's a bad thing. And the one thing that's just so strange, and like you said, is you can clearly see that it is that. Like, everybody, doesn't matter if you're a fan of her or not, you can see the end result of that website. And it's one of those things that if you are trying to be a rational person, it's so simple to just see that's like, okay, that was wrong. Now, so that brings me to two things. Either she is very prideful and she doesn't want to admit that she's wrong, which is a huge possibility. There's a lot of people that are
I think that's
yeah, 100%. Yes.
my thing. Like what I've said, I'm like, she's probably so far in this lie that she's embarrassed now. If she had just been like, they made a fucking Twitter video or even a tweet, look, that site I made was horrible. I've deleted it. I understand the concerns. I've moved on from that. No one would care. It's the fact that it's almost like, how do we trust anything that you're saying at this point if you just keep lying about it?
Yes.
Not to mention, I don't know if you saw my video or any of the quote tweets I did recently. She's now calling it an anti-black thing. That what we're doing.
That was actually something I had.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I had
My
People will notice that is what she's doing today as well. She's doing the same kind of tactics, the same kind of manipulation against people who are calling her out for her bad behavior. And she is using the same rhetoric against them.
And I don't think the only thing I have the issues that I have, the concerns I have is what everybody else has is, okay, you've been caught in a lie, so why not address this? And I just saw recently, she said that she's not going to address this stuff anymore because, there's some people that are saying, oh, you're being a little bit, people are being a little irrational about saying that she is, she's still a leftist and she just infiltrated the conservative movement since they're growing so rapidly. Like Paul Joseph Watson likes to say, conservatism is the new counterculture. Like he's so.
Well, the one funny thing is, what I want to tell everyone is like how she's talking about how we're trying to divide everyone. Bitch, I want people to be anti-SJW. Like, I'm on your side. Like, it's not like we're like, we have to stop her. No, what are you talking about? And that's for conservative. I mean, that's her political ideology. Be what you want. That's fine. No one is talking about your ideology. No one's talking about your political leaning at all in this. We're discussing a site that you have been caught in a lie recently. Like, one of the biggest thing people keep messaging me is, she already apologized for it. Yeah, but she kept the website up. We found people's doxes, and she didn't take them down until we all about it. And now she has taken it down. And now she was lying, saying it was a splash page. But luckily, we have information and evidence that I've shown everyone that they were real people. Just be like, yeah, it sucked. Sorry. So that's the two biggest criticisms I hear of all of our criticism.
And on that note, I think that's why a lot of people are. There's a lot of people saying that she's a shill. She's doing this. And what I'm going to do is I want to go. I just want to go through a couple of examples of why I think some people are a little bit like they shouldn't have their defenses down. There's two things that I want to bring up. The first one I want to bring up, as you know very well, is Francesca Ramsey. So Francesca, she was trying to buddy with everybody, and I think maybe because she got pressure, from her community. We don't know what it was, but then she just did a 180, went back and was talking all that trash on her podcast, right?
And then I made a music video last week saying goodbye. I took a ship with Frandy on it, and I burned it in the river, and I sang a song. It was beautiful. I'm sure.
Won't leave me alone, but hey, whatever. Oh, but see, that was atrocious, man. What she tried to do, like, she tried, and she admitted in her podcast that she tried to control us. She tried to control the anti-SJW community or whatever. And I was like, oh, that was weird. And there's something else that I thought that was really strange, not from Franny, but this on YouTube. And let me see if I can pull it up. He was basically ranting about. It was like an anti-Black Lives Matter rant, and it was about pro All Lives Matter. You know, the counter, rah, rah. And yeah, as it sits right now, here, at least so I can show I'll show some of the people that are watching so they can at least see what I'm talking about on YouTube, of course. So if you look, okay, let me go back to this page. But if you look here, it's over $1 million, and it was very heartfelt. It would seem very serious. He actually made it onto Fox, and all these people wanted to talk to him. He's a Marine vet, and it was really nice. And then if you followed up on the guy. Right here, this video, it says, "Dear White America, thanks for being a part of my sociological experiment." And in the video, he talks about it was completely bullshit. And he was just trying to show you how easy it is to mimic those talking points. And then he starts like being pro Black Lives Matter and all this shit. And it was really strange to me that, because if you watch that video, the one that I first showed you, the message to the Black Lives Matter movement, if you watch it, it's hard to believe that isn't genuine, because it sounds completely fucking genuine. Like, there's nothing that suggests to you that it's bullshit. And it's one of those things that what I'm saying is that it is entirely possible. It is entirely, I don't necessarily believe it, but it's entirely possible that she could be doing some shady shit. I don't necessarily believe it, but from seeing what concerns that people were bringing up, like how fast she blew up, if you actually watch some of her videos, because I started watching them because I started getting interested in all this stuff that's going on. And some of her videos, yeah, they're very basic things that we've all heard them before, but it's nice to hear them from a Black conservative woman, and she's also attractive, and you know that factor. I mean, let's be real. I'll be real. I'll say that I enjoy, if I saw an ugly girl versus a hot girl saying the same fucking thing, which one do you think I'm going to watch?
100%.
Which video do you think I'm going to watch? Come on. Let's be real.
I'll be self-aware with that. Definitely. 100%. Yeah. But actually, what you're saying right now, it's very like big possibility that she's a con artist. Sure. Yeah. But what I think a theory that I think holds more water is she realized that being a social justice warrior wasn't monetarily it wasn't good for money. So she realized no money, right? So she hides for 9 months and resurges as a
Oh, that's weird. She hides for 9 months and then emerges as a conservative. Wasn't she just the other day talking about how it was weird that Erica Kirk, in Erica's words, she hid away for 8 months studying the Bible just to get out of pageantry and all that, and she didn't see anybody but her pastor, his wife, and her family for like 8 months. And then, but Candace Owens is saying, oh, that's weird, that's suspicious. There's a lot of projection that Candace Owens is doing in regards to Erica Kirk that Candace Owens is projecting onto her. I find it very interesting.
Conservative with all these very similar talking points to, like many people. I mean, like you said, you watch her videos and a lot of them are the same talking points that we've heard. And she's an attractive Black female. She blew up quick. And I just think she's just going where the money is. She's somewhat intelligent in the sense of how to market her as a person, but she seems like a phony to me. That's what it seems more than, like, you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't picture that Francesca and all these SJWs are having meetings with her and they're like, all right, break. Now you go and come back to us with information. I just think she's doing this more for what will make her the most money. And then looking at her.
Okay, so what he just said there is that it appears to him that she's just going where the money is. So let's go look at something. We're going to go into the future Okay, so this is Gary with Paramount Tactical, one of his recent lives, and his guest is Tamara Neely, who has a YouTube channel that I will also link below, and we are going to use a few of her videos to bounce off of as well coming up. And if you're not following her or Gary, I suggest that you do. But it's funny when he asks Tamara why she thinks Candace is doing what she's doing.
Does play to that. What do you think is the main motivator behind Candace herself? Haven't you actually met Candace?
I
know you were
have
in the
not.
room or something
I
like
was in
that.
the room with her, but I haven't met her.
Gotcha.
No.
What do you
But
think
you
the
were saying?
main motivation behind all this?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to say it's one thing or another. I think money has something to do with it for sure. Because the love of money is the root of all evil. So I can tell you that's probably the root. But as far as what else is in the mix, I don't know. I have my theories.
Okay, so she says the root of all evil is money, and the people back observing her behavior back when she came up in the movement thought she was doing it for money, or they're sitting here brainstorming trying to figure out what is going on with this woman, and that gets brought up. Now I want to show you something. No, actually, before we go there, I think I might actually take us to Tamara's one of her videos about this, because I think it's fascinating what she pulls out of an old interview with Candace. So let's go there. Okay, so this video is by Tamara Neely, which I will leave her channel linked below. The name of the video is Candace Owens is now under investigation amid no charges filed against Erica Kirk. This is only 19 minutes, so we will just go through this video, and I have it sped up. And when we get to the part that I wanted to point out to you, I will point it out.
And of all the people the Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
Wow. Hello.
How it look like and what could it achieve? And here to win, as I mentioned, Turning Point USA Communications Director, the one and only Candace Owens. Good morning.
It has been crazy how much a 7-word tweet can impact your life, positively and negatively.
I am super excited to announce that I am rolling out a brand new podcast with PragerU, aptly entitled The Candace Owens Show.
They're trying to propel voices that are liberal, propel voices that are Democrat, and silence those that are conservative.
I am getting married this weekend, so we decided that we were going to make this a wedding special and introduce you guys to my fiance, future husband, George Farmer.
So now you've got your own family.
Your grandfather, you obviously love him. He's maybe is he still the most important male figure in your life?
Yeah, he's probably the only important male figure of my life, which is a strong statement to make. But
Now, there are some conflicting information coming out about Candace Owens' life, the story she's told, and then what other people have found digging into it. So as Tamara gets into this interview where Candace talks about her upbringing, I'm not for sure if this is even actually true. And I have another video that we're going to watch that will sort of reiterate that, and we'll get to it. But it doesn't appear she grew up in Connecticut, which is not a super low income place. She grew up in a white neighborhood, and she says that her parents divorced when she was young, but we're finding out that that might not be true, because they found divorce records to where her parents didn't divorce until she was an adult, like in her 20s or 30s, maybe even. Her father was definitely in her life. We'll get into it, but just so you know, there are conflicting information going on surrounding that.
that's about right.
Do you have good female figures in your life, strong women?
No, I try to be that. I come from a very sort of broken, crazy family.
Where we should introduce you to the family tree so you can just kind of see what's going on here, because this more far scandal troubles me deeply. Is Erica lying?
Because the truth about our activism is that it's hardly activism at all. It's rapid rate opinionism.
Who is Candace Owens? Who was Candace Owens? When I first became aware of who Candace Owens was, I believed that she was inspirational. I believed that she was a conservative who happened to also be a Black woman. I believed that she was somebody who could relate to everybody. And that is why I became a fan of Candace Owens, because I felt like she was somebody who wasn't focused so much on race or identity. I really believed that she was somebody who was focused on promoting the truth. Now, I don't know. And that's what leads us here. As you know, Candace Owens is now investigating the widow of Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk. And as Candace Owens questions Erica Kirk, the real question is who is Candace Owens? This is part one of my investigation into Candace Owens Farmer. Before we get into it, I'm Tamara. You're watching the Tamara Neely Show. I would like to welcome back all my returning subscribers. And if you're new here, I would like to let you know I'm happy you're here. Quickly, let's get into a word of prayer, because on this show, we believe that prayer is our first resort and not our last. Lord God, I thank you for today. Lord, I pray for each and every person watching this. Lord, I ask you to reveal the truth to us. I pray for Erica Kirk. I pray for Candace Owens. I pray for Turning Point USA. I pray for America. Be with us today. In Jesus' name, amen. On this,
Amen.
I take no joy in investigating Candace Owens. I don't. This is a woman who I looked up to at one point. But now it seems as though we have no choice, because what we are seeing from her is truly evil, without question. And now it's time to question who Candace Owens really is. I'm not going to do much talking. I'm going to let this clip of Candace Owens do most of the talking. Obviously, I will interject because I don't want a copyright strike. But I want you guys to hear Candace Owens describe who she is, where she comes from. And keep in mind, this is only part one.
I love that video about your grandfather. You obviously love him. He's maybe is he still the most important male figure in your life?
Yeah, he's probably the only important male figure of my life, which is a strong statement to make, but that's about right.
Do you have good female figures in your life? Strong women?
No, I try to be that. I come from a very sort of broken, crazy family.
Like I heard that sort of 9 of your uncles have been incarcerated. So you come from a family where that crime is part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, they're not 9 of them, but 5 of the 9 of them all spent some time in prison.
Candace Owens mentions here that she did not have any positive women influences in her life. And it makes me wonder if Candace has an issue with women because of her upbringing. 5 out of 9 of her uncles have spent time in prison. And we're going to go on to hear her say that this was normal. It's interesting to me that Candace Owens' family has a lengthy criminal background. Yet, Candace Owens insinuates that Erica Kirk's family has something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. Interesting. But this is the woman whose family, 5 out of 9 of her uncles have spent time in prison. And she's going to go on to say that that was normal.
And that sort of trickled down, and I have cousins that have spent time in prison, and it was just a part of my story growing up. And it wasn't particularly unique. It's a weird thing to say, but in the retrospect, like, that seems normal to me. Like, we're gonna go see your uncle in prison. Okay, sure, that's what you do.
I think it's normal for a lot of people.
Right.
For other people, that's
it's not
extraordinary.
Yeah, which really lets you know that you can create different simulations in different pockets of society until you travel outside of it to have a different experience. You think it's just the norm.
When did that happen for you? When did your life transition from what was, your early determining context to, what was the thing that should change first for you, Candace?
Well, I think
Okay, so this is the story that I want to point out to you that Tamara very aptly picked up on. So this is what I was wanting to show.
was always sort of an alien child. Like my mother says all the time when I was a kid, they were just weirded out by me. Like I never cried. They always thought I could like understand them as a baby in the crib, which is really bizarre. But the earliest thing that I remember was my first play date, which was in kindergarten class. I was 5 years old, and there was a girl named Lindsay DeLeo. She was this blonde girl with blue eyes, and we became fast friends.
The earliest childhood memory that Candace Owens can remember is of a friendship that she had with a white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Let's take a look at what Candace Owens gathered from that friendship.
I think we had reading class together, and her mother invited me over for a play date. And I went to her house, and I was just shocked that people lived in the way that she lived. She lived in the suburbs. She had a massive house. She had this Victorian concept room. She had a nanny. She had a playroom. And I just remember being shocked that this was even a part of life, because prior to, obviously, I existed within the realm of my family. I lived in a really small apartment. Me and my two sisters shared a room in a low-income housing building, and it blew my mind. So I think when I was a really small kid, I was already considering, like, how is this, asking the question at least, which is important in order to get the answer, how could people be living such different lives? And you either take two approaches to it. You either say, I hate rich people because they live that way, or I want to become a rich person and learn how to live that way.
Interesting. So when Candace Owens went to this white girl's house, and the only reason why I'm saying that this young lady was white is because Candace Owens brought up the fact that she had blonde hair and blue eyes. And when Candace Owens went to her house, she took inventory and realized that this young lady had a whole lot more than her. And she mentions how she then wanted to become rich. And so from what I'm gathering, from what I'm hearing, is that Candace Owens wanted what this little girl had. And it's interesting because we see where Candace Owens is today. Candace Owens is now married to British royalty. She has millions of dollars. She is worth millions of dollars. However, this story may still be of significance to Candace Owens. And the question is, why?
I think I've always been curious about success and wanted to learn how to be successful myself. So my path was somewhat natural in that regard. I never hated rich people. It's a very weird thing to me that people demonize the rich.
Do you hate anyone?
No, I think hate's a terrible emotion because it you harvest it internally. So if you hate someone, you hate them.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah,
they're
really
okay. They don't feel that.
Actually, Candace, they do feel it. Just like I explained in the start of this video, when I experienced what I did in live streaming communities and I started collecting other people's stories, I started finding people because as I started listening to their stories and how much it affected them to have a community weaponized against them to come at them in the way that it was happening, it affected them extremely badly. They had to seek mental health, like I explained. Some people did. And many people were not dealing with it well, but people felt better after talking with me about it. So I wanted to find as many people as I could to help them, to let them know that they weren't alone. So it doesn't matter who these people, who they are, whether you're 50 followers, 100 followers, 1,000 followers, or 1,000,000 followers. Weaponizing your community against someone is going to affect that person greatly. They're going to feel that hate. And it doesn't matter if it's just like a normal person that uses YouTube or if it's one of these famous people that you attack viciously, Candace, they are still going to feel that hate and it's still going to affect their daily lives.
So you've always been aspirational, even when you were a child. It sounds to me from what little you told me already that you sounds like you had an unusual emotional state, that you were sort of quite an independent person.
Yes.
And that you're, I mean, even watching you, I've watched like quite a lot of your videos and interviews. You're a very powerful person. You're quite driven, aren't you? You've got a strong presence.
Yeah, and I've always had that. Like, my teachers hated me growing up because
Why?
I was just extremely assertive. Think about the function.
Where was you educated, Mel?
That's a very good question. I think I like to say that I was self-educated because you don't learn anything in school. You learn propaganda, you learn how to function in society in the way that the government and society wants you to function. So I like to think that because I always had to earn my way through life, my parents couldn't afford to put me through school. My parents stopped paying for anything for me. When I turned 14 years old, I was kicked out of my house and I was living with a boyfriend for 6 months. And I was one of those kids, you know?
Wow.
And so I sort of was self-taught and I was constantly pushing back.
But I want you to recognize something that Candace Owens said, and that is that she was self-taught. And when your world and your universe it revolves around self, it is bound for destruction, because we know that we ourselves as humans are self-destructive. That is why we need a savior. That is why we need to look to someone who has more power than us. Russell mentioned Candace Owens being powerful. And I believe, from my analysis, is that this illusion of power may have gone to Candace Owens' head because it appears to have filled that ego and her personal belief that she was self-taught.
Against arbitrary authority. Arbitrary authority meaning that because I'm the teacher and I say go left, go left. Well, no, tell me why I should go left. I need to there needs to be a little bit of reasoning behind this. I was always a critical thinker my entire life. And that sort of, I went to university for a couple of years and then dropped out. So I think I'm so smart because I didn't go to university.
See that thing where you...
Pause. Candace Owens says there that she did not go to university. Candace Owens did go to university. However, Candace Owens dropped out of university. It's not that Candace Owens did not go to university. From my understanding, Candace Owens could not afford to attend and continue attending university. And so she was therefore forced or put in a position to leave.
You said you're an autodidact, self-educated person. What was you reading?
Okay, so I
will leave Tamara's video in the description box, this one specifically, so that you can watch it yourself. Okay, so Candace Owens mentioned her family upbringing in this, and so I want to actually show you something in regards to that, because there is, like I said, some conflicting narrative going on with that. So this channel is Storm Monroe. This video is 3 years old. This is Candace Owens's cousin giving an interview to Storm. I will leave this video linked below, but the video is pretty friendly. Like, she's not trashing Candace at all, but he asks her a question and then what she says is really interesting regarding her family. So let's take a listen.
I did want to ask you before we go, is there anything else, any other misconceptions about Candace Owens that you would like to squash today with this interview?
Yeah, actually, it's really to Candace direct. My biggest thing with Candace is, we're used to what you're doing. I'm used to what you're doing. I love you to death. I'll die for you. With that being said, how you carried on, doing what you, did with grandpa and grandma, trying to make, that whole situation like a bad situation, when you grew up around great people. You grew up in a good, loving family. In fact, your intelligence come from my grandmother. So, with that being said, I just think you owe us an apology. And but I love you to death. But that needs to get set right, ASAP. So other than
What
that,
did she?
that's the biggest.
What did she say? I missed that. What did she say?
Nah, she kind of got famous, just saying, how I mentioned she capped with the gay stuff.
Okay, so earlier in this interview, she explains that Candace caps with the gay stuff, that she actually doesn't have those feelings towards gay people that she shows the world with her shows and her rhetoric, because her cousin is gay and her cousin's sister is also gay. And so capping means lying. So she's saying that Candace Owens lied about that. Like, she doesn't really actually feel that way. She's about to say she did the same thing. She capped or she lied about her family as she was coming up and getting famous.
She did like a situation with that, to where, I didn't approve of that.
Let me rewind it just so you can catch that.
Didn't approve with stuff. She did like, she kind of got famous, just saying, how I mentioned she capped with the gay stuff. She did like a situation with that, to where, I didn't approve of that. A lot of us didn't approve with it. And I think she's that right in order to move on with her life. You know what I mean? Things like that. In order for people in our family who's older to move on in their life as well. You know what I mean? Things like that. Like I said, we're used to Candace and things like that. You know what I mean? But, when you do things that don't make sense and it's not the truth, then that's when, kind of, you got to step up and, talk. That's why I'm here today, to make sure, I set that straight. You know what I mean? Candace came from great people, you know what I mean? With people that love her to death, always supported her, always was there for her, and like I said, she get her intelligence from our grandmother. Our grandmother was if they met her, she was just literally like an angel on earth. And our grandfather loved our grandmother until her last breath. And he literally died of a broken heart because he lost the love of his life. So we got to see love in our family. We got to see our grandmother battle cancer our whole entire life. You know what I mean? And things like that. So how dare her, do something like that just to get a little fame behind your belt. You know what I mean? Things like that. So, that's basically, that's what I said. That's what I'm talking to you today. Because I felt like the time was now to make sure, we set that straight before it gets carried on any further. So.
All right. I hear you. Let the people know where they can find you.
Okay, so I found that extremely interesting. In this interview, she also says that Candace grew up in a white neighborhood and that it was affluent and that she had mostly all white friends and only dated white guys. Anyway, I found that extremely interesting because it sort of conflicts what she was saying, or maybe there's a whole truth to what she was saying. Okay, so back to this video where this is, again, 8 years ago, where they're talking about, they're trying to figure out what's going on with Candace, basically.
Recent tweets where she's being a black victim, and then on the Alex Jones show saying, "Oh, we should have more women on this show." Like, it's very reminiscent to what SJW talking points are.
That's that she hasn't totally just like 180 as she's claiming.
100% not. And her tweet was saying, "Oh, look, these people are calling me out. Oh, we all knew black women would have a difficult time."
Oh, it was like an uphill battle, right?
Uphill battle, and I was
like, pull that shit up, dude.
4 months. 170,000 subscribers. What an uphill battle.
So you know Biggest Mikey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like him, he's fucking pissed, dude. He's been on for a while. He's been doing his thing with his podcast, Biggest Mikey. Check it out. And this dude, I think his name on Twitter now is what is it? Big Pill Black. And he's just like going on like, dude, like I've been putting in this work, and then you just fucking pop up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you got over 100K. And I get it. I get it. If I were like a strictly black conservative, I'd be fucking mad too. I'd be like, hey, what's going on here?
Yo, bro, and the one thing I was like the reason I was extra angry like about all this was her accusing me, Dave, and Jeff. We're all a controlled opposition, that we were paid to make these videos.
Okay, so this is really important rhetoric. I feel like what they're talking about here, because this is the same thing that Candace is doing, including her downstreamers are doing, to everyone who's calling out her atrocious behavior. Because we all loved Charlie, and we all watched him get assassinated in front of us. Now we're supposed to all just be okay with her completely attacking his family, his wife. His kids are going to see this one day, his friends, his company, making all kinds of accusations and insinuations in the form of just asking questions, in quotation marks. None of this stuff is real. None of this stuff actually means anything. they're all lies or things that are blown out of proportion from what they really are. So there's really actually no there, but yet we're supposed to all be fine with what she's doing. And if we're not fine with what she's doing, then we're all being paid and it's a coordinated attack. And there's the same sort of rhetoric she was using against these people when they called her out for her behavior back then.
Technically, our Patreon and the YouTube pennies you make off the video, yeah, we were paid, but she acts as if, you know, there is a group out there, like George Soros is funding it. Yeah, like after all this said, yeah, now I'm like, oh, SJW money. I wish I was paid for shit. Oh, man,
that's the shit that that's the thing that really, I think, more than that's the thing with, like, that's probably the nail in the coffin thing that people are like, what is this? Not only because, like I said, I can see the whole pride thing. I can see that. I can see that people can be prideful and she doesn't want to you know, she doesn't want to admit that she's wrong. But I'm looking at I feel like we should just start like getting everybody on, and we can just and then we can be and then we can also we can be accused of dogpiling.
May I just throw in some breaking news? Breaking news, everybody. There is someone who I am chatting with via email who works in tech or whatever. And this person, we were looking at the website if it were actually closed it down. So this person had messaged me about 10 minutes before we were alive and has now found the website still up on the back end. They went through the back end. And I am looking at a list of everyone's name and the direct URLs when they were added.
So this is after the interview with Dave Rubin, or the debate with Dave Rubin hosting it with Blair White, where she's like, it's all down, nothing's there, it's just a splash page. And they were seeing that it's all still there in real time on this show.
These are real people's names. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, yeah, these are actual people, and they just showed me some pictures on how they did it. So this site is just parked. It's not actually down. And if she claims there was no database, in fact, here, I'm gonna send you this privately because I don't want to reveal who this person is, just so you could see.
Ooh, as soon as you show it to me, I'm gonna tell everybody.
Just Photoshop the edges real quick here. I don't want to be no doxing, because you know that would be really ironic. But just so everyone knows that the page is still parked, and I'm looking at a database from the back end right now, and I'll show you in a second. Anyway.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Oh, hey, what up?
Blair, what's going on?
Oh my God, I've been so pressed over this whole situation, and I couldn't make a video, but it's literally had to be bugging. Like,
oh man, every time I make a video, like more people just email me more. I'm like, yes. She has to answer. She has to answer.
She is such a fraud, and the fact that people believe. I mean, she was tweeting today. She's like, a coordinated attack, a funded attack. I'm sorry, who is paying these anti-SJW YouTubers? Some with like 20,000 subscribers. Who is paying these people to like tell the truth about Red Pill Black? Like, what the
and she tweeted directly after my new video today, where I actually found everyone's docs on Facebook. She tweeted like 5 minutes after my video about the coordinated attack. So leftists attacked you when you started the website. So that was coordinated, right? And then now people are attacking you for the exact same reason, not politics, on the other side. And now that's coordinated. Who's coordinating the attack? The left, right, middle, like makes no sense.
It gets better. So Richard Spencer, who obviously I'm not co-signing Richard Spencer, not a fan at all, okay, at fucking all. But he was condemning her as well, and she started going off today about how he works for the feds. So now it's like, oh, the feds are coming after you too. Red Pill Black.
Because of the website, about apologizing for a website. And Derek, open up that the new DM that I just sent you.
Okay, I'll check it out. But like this right here, I'm just on it. Like, just look at some of the stuff that she's been saying, and it's just nuts. Like, she first of all, she said that she's not going to say anything else. She said time to move on and leave the trolls to their bridges. I'm just like, oh yeah. Everybody that has questions and concerns, genuine questions, they're just trolls. That's it. That's
Let's
it.
Really
and
break it down. Like, she made a doxing website. Okay, that's like, there are no SJWs even bad enough to do that. That's like the worst of the worst, okay? So she did that. She got called out on it a year later after faking being conservative. And I'll say it, she's absolutely faking it. You can just tell. I actually could tell before this even happened. I would see her videos and I'd be like, oh wow, this is really like playing the game. Like, she's just saying exactly what she knows she should say. And then, so then she lies about it, continues to lie. And now she's saying that people hate her because she's Black. So she's against identity politics, but she thinks everyone's mad because she's a Black conservative. And then now she's blocking people. She blocked me on Twitter. She blocked June on Twitter. She's such a mess. And the fact that anyone believes her is so sad. So sad.
Well, yeah, and also like, I sent you, Blair, as well, the back end of the website, and everyone's stuff is still there. But like, the funny thing is how she's acting as if this is a giant shock. Why is everyone? Yeah, everyone's dogpiling on me. Well, yeah, there's a reason we're doing. It's not like we're just like, oh, look, we make.
Wow, that sounds really familiar, right? Why is everybody upset? I'm just asking questions. Why is everybody making such a big deal about this? That's weird. Something must be going on.
And to everyone conservative or centrist or anti-SJW who were like, Andy, why are you revealing this stuff about her? Same people who are like, why do you attack feminists all the time? And then I go, okay, maybe I'll aim at someone else who's doing some stuff. Andy, why are you attacking one of our own? She's not one of my. I don't.
Bro,
vouch for
we've had that problem before. You know what I'm talking about. We've had that problem before. Just a few months ago, where it's just like you guys are cookie cutter, do the same content all the time, and it's like, hey, you on the right, dumb. Stop being an extremist. You're being stupid. Oh, how dare you? How dare you?
It's so stupid. I could sit there on Twitter and call a million SJWs trash, which I have done in the past. That's like my thing, obviously. But then I call one based Black conservative trash, and everyone's like, you're doing it for attention, and you're being a drama queen, and this is high school. And it's like, guess what? It's the internet. It does turn into high school when you don't have the conversation. She won't talk to anyone. So people have to talk at her. People have to have live streams talking about the situation, and she's not defending herself because she can't, because she's a fraud.
And also, let's put ourselves in her position. Let's say 3 years ago, I made a website like that, and then it all came out right now. I go on a live stream immediately and talk about how that was and how horrible of a person I was, and try to remove all traces. I wouldn't be like, well, they're just attacking me because I'm a white guy.
Exactly. Just because those two things right there would put everything to rest. If she would have just addressed that, admit that, and apologize, whatever. And then if she didn't say the stuff about controlled opposition or paid misinfo, like those two things just completely and blew it up into this. Now everybody's hanging out on this stream. You know what I mean?
You know why? Because all up on InfoWars now, and she knows she has a new audience, people from InfoWars, and they love that. They want to believe that George Soros is funding everything. They want to believe that everyone's a plan.
I'm so glad he said that.
Exactly what she's doing, because you know what? She's a fraud ass, but she's not a dumbass. She really is like smart. She's really played the game. But you know what? It's just so sad.
So I find that interesting. She knows she has an audience with that type of conspiracy world type stuff.
She's not the only one either. Like, so many political commentators are just actors at this point, especially the ones coming up now. You think of like Rage After Storm. Like, I'm sorry, was an actress that gave every line she thought she could, and she went too far, and then when people called her out on it, she deleted her account. That's not someone who believes in what they're saying. That's someone who was playing the game and then realized she couldn't play it that well and then gave up.
Yeah.
Red Bull Black is playing the game.
What's the like here's my confusion. To me, there's black, there's white, and gray, right? There's like for sure that's wrong, for sure that's good, and for sure we don't know. Like, it could be an opinion. A doxing website, everyone can agree, is garbage. And the fact that it was still up with a database that exists to this day is the most obvious. There's no gray in that. Admit that is garbage.
Right, there's just facts. Sometimes there's just facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, the one thing I can't understand is the mere fact that she keeps saying that we're trying to destroy her to divide everyone and make everyone liberal or something. Well, hey, you're not the conservative heart. It's not like if you go, like, conservatism dies on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. It's like she's parting the Red Sea of conservatism. This thing that she's gonna change everything. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not. Especially not going on InfoWars, because let's keep it real. Like, after she plays this circuit and she's going on InfoWars, doing her thing in all these fringe, sites, where's she really gonna go after that? So this is all she has. The left's not gonna take her back. The right is, apparently some still believing her, but for the most part, I think people are seeing through it. So where are you gonna go now?
Well, and also, one thing, I know you're on
Well, where she was going to go is apparently Turning Point USA. So it's where she was going to go, unfortunately.
Recently, I like Dave Rubin, but his tweet that he just recently tweeted, I actually quote tweeted it, and I was like, Dave, are you is this guy joking me? It is. I've spoken to @RedPillBlack, and she assures me that the site is down now and was never even built out in the first place. Everyone relax. And I quote tweet him I just posted a video showing me use her doxes to find Facebook profiles. Rubin, what you asked her and she assured you, and you're like, all right, fair enough. How about you do research?
That's what happens when you trust people, you think they have integrity, so then you take their word for it, and that's kind of what happened, because it's the same thing. I don't want to say about Dave Rubin. I like his show, and I want to be on it, so I don't want to not be on it. So I'm gonna leave it at that. No, so I thought it's strange because I saw the same thing happen, and one of the most disappointing things, and some people would probably say they're not surprised, was Paul Joseph Watson defending her. The way that he was defending her, it was so strange. First he said that the thing was 4 years old or some shit, and he wrote an article about it.
What a random number! How did you get 4 years?
I think he was just I think that's how
video about it last year.
He thinks about his audience, man. I almost feel like that's what he thinks of his audience. I can just say whatever, and they're just gonna think that, it was so long ago, she's changed.
He said, do some research. I'm like, you did a video on her last year. You should know it's not 4 years because you did the video.
4 years is such a random number to pull out of your too. Where did that come from? There's no explanation for where that number came from. That's the part that gets me, is why 4 years? Why not you just say the past vaguely, 4 years?
Even a couple years. Even a couple years would have been. That was a couple years ago. Just a throwaway.
Exactly. That would have even been more acceptable. But I read that she's okay, that's your gig or whatever. But
okay, so like I said, I will leave that video linked below. We might come back to it at some point. I'm not for sure where all this is going to go. This is a very hard thing to put together because there's just so much. There was just such an onslaught of all the lies and all the crazy things she said, and it was almost too much. That's why it's taken me so long to do this. And then I was just like, I'm just going to sit down and see where it goes. And the article, I feel like, is really good at describing her, very, very good at describing her. And so I'm sort of bouncing off of that. that. But let's continue. Let's go back to the article. Okay, so the article where we were at last was she further accused Quinn and Harper of being fraudulent anti-bullying activists who targeted Social Autopsy because it threatened their own business model. Which, another thing, she's like accusing people of things they're not doing, not caring how it looks on them, how they're dealing with it, all this stuff. She moved on quickly. While Candace has credited the media's mistreatment of Donald Trump to waking her up to liberal faults, others argue that profit played a bigger role in her shift. Her conservative pivot, defending right-wing talking points, brought the attention she had been seeking. The following year, with a new platform, Red Pill Black, and a newfound opposition to the council culture framework in which she had previously claimed victimized and attempted to launch a career, she came out as a conservative. She produced a skit designed to go viral in which she broke the news to her disapproving parents, playing all three roles herself. From there, she became a frequent guest on Fox News and was soon hired by Charlie Kirk as director of engagement for Turning Point USA. She cast herself as a truth seeker, standing athwart wokeness. Everyone from Donald Trump to her hero Kanye West offered praise. She even hinted that she might consider running for public office herself. Meanwhile, her star continued to rise through platforms furnished by PragerU and the Daily Wire. She later departed both organizations amid heated public feuds. In 2024, following her public spat with Ben Shapiro, she went solo. On her independent channel, she appeared to drift away from structured political commentary toward a looser mix of gossip and conspiracy-driven content, which is what would draw her recklessly into my story. Part 2, Candace Owens Undone, The Fallout, by Jessica Reed Cross, with House and Habit. In November 2024, a few days after Election Day, I spoke to Candace Owens for the first time. I had spent more than a year moving away from pop culture and toward politics. As a matter of branding, it was unwise. There were immediate material effects. I lost sponsors, friends, subscribers, and followers. Some of this was natural. A reader who arrived here for insight into Britney Spears or Johnny Depp might have no interest in coverage of government lockdowns, RFK Jr.'s presidential campaign, or Donald Trump's presidential campaign. But some of it felt like a reflection of the very issues around intolerance and the policing of speech that had made me sympathetic to alternative and right-wing political views in the first place. But it wasn't about branding. I'm someone driven by curiosity, and sometimes the subjects I pursue align with the curiosities of my audience. Sometimes they provoke disagreement or boycott. All I can do is be honest about what I think and feel at any given moment, and ask that the readers either bear with me or engage respectfully when they disagree. I feel like that about myself as well. I'm constantly growing, so something I say I might not feel the same about in the future, because I'm always growing and learning and changing my mind. On the phone with Candace that day, my subjects guided my organic interest. On the phone with Candace that day, my subjects, guided by my organic interest, had converged into a single story, and that story was barreling toward the White House, an outcome I could never have foreseen. I had arrived in Florida to cover the end of the campaign, and when the results broke in favor of the candidate I supported, I stayed. There were parties, brunches, and victory laps. That same gilded, sequined scene with which I had become familiar throughout the year was now gripped by euphoria over an outcome that made them winners once again, and perhaps once and for all. The call had been arranged by her public relations representative, Mitchell Jackson, who I had met for lunch in Laguna Beach months earlier. At a tiny table in the sun overlooking the Pacific Ocean, we discussed his work with Candace and my work here. My readership is a smart mix, independent-minded, skeptical of official narratives, interest in gossip and conspiracy conspiracies, mainly female. I assumed he saw my newsletter as a good place for his client to promote her new venture. So this guy here, Mitchell Jackson, is really interesting. This is Candace Owens's public relations manager, and what this woman has to say about him is really interesting. Look, I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. If I can't get people to subscribe or like, YouTube will literally send aliens to my house. Do you want me to be probed? I need you to like and to subscribe. Thank you. But I think I also might have something else to add. Let me check. A tiny table in the sun overlooking the Pacific Ocean. We discussed his work with Candace and my work here. My readership is a smart mix, independent-minded, skeptical of official narratives, interested in gossip and conspiracies, mainly female. I assumed he saw my newsletter as a good place for his client to promote her new venture. I was loosely aware of Mitchell before our lunch date. Another friend had considered hiring him for PR months earlier. He had a reputation as a powerhouse in the industry, someone who could turn chaos into profit, operating under the notion that any attention is good attention. Public conflict, in his view, was an easy recipe for virality. My friend described him as an agnostic, Kamala-loving liberal, and recalled that during their first call, his pitch involved orchestrating a calculated feud on X with a rival online personality. After deciding he wasn't the right fit, Mitchell concluded it was probably for the best. She likely couldn't afford his services anyway. So this is him. Now, it was late in the morning afterglow of election night, and I was in my Palm Beach hotel room. Candace was at home in Nashville, where she had moved from Washington a few years earlier with her growing family. We talked about the sorts of things I like to talk about when I have someone like her on the line, to dissolve rigid perceptions, who she was before she became known to the public, what she was like as a child, how she managed her life and responsibilities as a working mother, and her astrological sign as it related to her work ethic. I noted that a Taurus sun is a fierce force. Mostly we talked about Donald Trump. Candace was elated by his win. It was proof not just that her beliefs were popular, but that her gut was powerful. She had placed a bet, and the bet had paid off. It was not the first time. She had been an ally to Trump during his first administration. In return, Trump had offered his support, complimenting her publicly and granting her access to the White House. In the East Room, during the Young Black Leadership Summit in 2019, Trump introduced her affectionately. We were also joined by a friend of mine. She just got married. Candace Owens, he said. He took pride in her success. I watched her. I saw her coming. I said, you know, I am pretty good at star power. I look and I'd say, that's a star. Every once in a while, I'll see somebody. You know, it happens about once every 5 years, and that's all it is. But I'll be watching. I saw Candace probably 3 or 4 years ago. How long would it be, Charlie? 4? Trump turned to address Charlie Kirk and the crowd. I saw this woman on television and I said, man, I don't want to mess with her. She's tough. Now I'm not allowed to say it, you know. I'm not allowed to say it anymore. But she's also beautiful. So I'll say that, okay? It's true. Under the Me Too generation, you're not allowed to say it. So all you guys, never call a woman beautiful. Please, you're not allowed to do it. And I've kept doing it, and I've never been told by that woman never to do it. They just say, thank you, sir. He invited her on stage. Candace, would you come up here and say a few words? Would you mind? Candace zipped to the front of the room. He shook her hand and kissed her cheek. At the lectern, she returned his compliment. You know, I was thinking, every single president that comes into office after 2 years, they look so much older. He seems to be the only president that's getting younger. He has somehow found the fountain of youth. I think he gets up out of bed. It's the fight. He loves the fight. He really does. We are so blessed. And let me say this, the media, the audacity of them to think that they're going to impeach our president. No, it's not happening. It's absolutely not happening. In the end, it happened twice. That's an interesting picture. This is when they were in Israel. So he said Candace just got married. Let's go look at that, shall we?
We're on this mission in life to find peace with exactly who and what we are, to take pride in our thoughts, talents, and flaws, and to stop this incessant worry that we can't be loved as we are. By the grace of God, my life's mission is complete. Because of George Farmer, it will forever be okay. And that's something that Candace wrote for me, and I would say because of Candace Farmer, it will forever be okay. So Candace, without you, you've changed my world, darling. You have made me a more generous person, more thankful, more kind, more caring. I don't know who I'd be without you, to be honest. I look at our lives in the last 8 months since we met, and I look at the things we've done together, and it would be the things that most people would do in a decade or a lifetime. If I can do 100 times less or 100 times more than I've done this year, I know that I'll be very happy for the rest of my life. I can't wait to grow old with you. I'm looking forward to every single day with you for the rest of my life.
Candace turned from friend to family to the sister that I never had and never knew that I wanted or needed. Though I've seen a lot of changes over the years, there's always been a few things that have remained constant. Candace is bright, driven, caring, and 100% flies by the seat of her pants. So to George, thank you for bringing Candace so many smiles and so much laughter. I can see just by the way you look at her how much you adore her. This is the happiest I've seen her. It's clear that she's fallen in love and found her soulmate. May you love each other more with every day that you spend together, and may your life be filled with lots of laughter and amazing adventures.
Separately, you're both incredible, inspiring, and intelligent, but together, you're an unstoppable freight train. With a love at first sight story, a true love that everyone here can feel, wants to be around, wants to emulate, follows along with, and at this point, even wants to raise a glass to.
Candace, from the first moment I met you, I knew you were going to be
So that's Nigel Farage.
a superstar. Today, you are radiant, beautiful, and it's a joy, and I'm honoured to be here today in your presence.
Now, in the presence of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we have come together to witness the marriage of George and Candace, to pray for God's blessing on them, to share their joy, and to celebrate their love.
I, George Thomas Style Farmer, take thee, Candace Amber Owens,
And that was her father that walked her down the aisle.
to be my wedded wife,
To have and to hold from this day forward,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer,
for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health, to love, cherish, and serve,
in sickness and in health, to love, cherish, and serve,
till death parts us or Christ returns, according to God's holy law.
till death parts us or Christ returns, according to God's holy law.
In the presence of God and man, I make this vow.
In the presence of God and man, I make this vow.
George, I give you this ring as a sign of our marriage.
With my body, I honor you.
With my body, I honor you.
All that I am, I give to you, and all that I have, I share with you.
All that I am, I give to you, and all that I have, I share with you.
Within the love of God, Father, Son,
Within the love of God, Father, Son,
and Holy Spirit.
and Holy Spirit.
In the presence of God, and before this congregation, George and Candace have given their consent. I therefore proclaim that they are husband and wife. Those whom God has joined, let no one put asunder. Now is a great time for the groom to kiss his bride.
So they have hats that say "Make Weddings Great Again." Okay, so let's go back to the article. Amid the pandemic, she landed a sit-down interview with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, now removed due to it being under the banner of her Daily Wire show, where the ballroom had been staged to resemble the White House. Candace opened as only a friend could. Everybody talks about January 6th. She said, actually want to talk about January 5th to begin. She emphasized not the violence carried out by rioters attempting to halt certification of 2020 election, but the violence that had been thwarted when law enforcement discovered pipe bombs near the headquarters for the Republican and Democratic National Committees the previous day. Trump seemed pleased with Candace and she with him. They butted heads only slightly when she raised the subjects of corruption, Big Pharma, issues she knew resonated with American mothers. Pressed on masks, he conceded, "I don't like them," though he did not acknowledge that his administration and health officials had issued masking recommendations, which he now claimed to disagree. But on the vaccine, Trump responded defensively. Beyond fraud he attributed to Democrats, he blamed the pandemic itself for the outcome of the 2020 election. Post-presidency, as investors and lawyers closed in and Republicans began to distance themselves, Trump appeared preoccupied with the one thing he stood a chance to control, his legacy. His greatest achievement, he said, was the rapid development and rollout of the coronavirus vaccine under Operation Warp Speed. I see it now, the Candace-Trump exchange and her skepticism of the vaccine, as a strange time capsule that shows why so many, myself included, respected her at the time. Early in the evening on March 26, I was standing in the grand foyer of the White House in a silk tie blouse, observing portraits of Abraham Lincoln, Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan, and Bill Clinton. Women were dressed for spring in their restrained DC alterations to MAGA fashion worn more freely and fully in Palm Beach. Someone handed me a flute of champagne, then someone tapped me on the shoulder, a woman I didn't recognize. "Hey," she said. "Oh my God, Candace is talking about you." This is no longer an uncommon development. At the time, though, it was a surprise. In an essay posted days earlier, I had leveled mild criticism at Candace in defense of gossip. Was not specifically about her. It was about trust in media. Independent media pundits relied on outrage, conjured outrage, manipulated outrage, and profited from the attention outrage cycles generate. I had trafficked in and profited from it too. Did it matter if my outrage was real when the effects of translating that outrage into content were the same, and when real people were negatively affected or even unfairly affected by it? I had been thinking about this as I found myself on the other side of outrage, unjustly framed as an object of scorn during the Epstein binder debacle, tumbling out of the White House with no appreciation for how it looked from the outside and no understanding that I had been wielded as a human prop with a political prop in my hand and a political slogan on my head. My humility in the binder saga helped me see a few things more clearly about politics, the administration, and the way stories are formed and twisted as they develop. It also clarified my discomfort with being lumped in with personalities I had come to view as political or media performers. Even when I liked them, agreed with them, or could appreciate them, I was beginning to understand that their objects were often at odds with my own as a writer. I was beginning to understand that their objectives were often at odds with my own as a writer, there to see, experience, and to understand. In my media criticism, I name-checked the bro broadcasters, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Candace. I didn't second-guess posting what I wrote. Candace was a huge personality whose brand was built on criticizing others and on receiving criticism in return from all corners of the media. I didn't expect she would take it personally. She did take it personally. I took that personally. Once she hooked my attention, we traded jabs. I could justify my own contributions and argue that I had been right all along. I'm tempted to do that. The conflict waged in private DMs escalated quickly. It wasn't private for long. Sources familiar with Candace from the first term were not helpful in diffusing the situation. Less helpful was the fact that they were literally in my ear. In the halls of West Wing, they offered intimate knowledge of her, unflattering characteristics of their experiences with her, insisting that her influence in the political orbit had completely dissolved. They theorized that seeing new media ushered in as she was being cast out was a sting to her ego. I was content to accept that theory. So I find this really interesting. So first of all, she, in this article, like a previous article that she's speaking about, she said she name-checked the bro podcasters, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Candace. So I thought it was interesting that these three were lumped together. Then I find it interesting what people at the White House were saying about their interactions with Candace, that they haven't been good, but they were unhelpful in helping their friend who was starting to be attacked by Candace. But what I found the most interesting is what they said the reason why Candace was probably attacking her. And they theorized that seeing new media ushered in as she was being cast out was a sting to her ego. Well, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Maybe that's why she's attacking Charlie Kirk's legacy. There's a lot of stuff going on here that people are theorizing about why she would be doing such a thing. The money part comes in. Let's take a look at that. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this okay. So this is from Rob Schneider. I'm sure everybody knows who he is. This is some of the money that grifting psychopathic demon Candace Owens made from YouTube for demonizing the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk. And so it goes down the list here. It starts in, let's start at the bottom. So it starts in February, because that's as far, unless you pay for this, that's pretty much as far back as it goes. Let me show you. So this is the playboard where you can see what she's making in super chats. So she's made $264,353 in super chats year to date. And it shows how much she makes off other things. I think this is all just super chats. I'm not for sure exactly how all this works. Super chat revenue. Yeah, so this shows super chats. Live, I don't know if the live revenue, this shows viewers. Okay, so this is showing viewers. So you'd have to do the math on what YouTube's paying her for the ad revenue. But so we have super chat. But to go all the way back, I've seen people do it where the money really jumped up when she started talking about the Kirk investigation. But let's go back to his tweet because it lays it out just cleaner than a chart. Okay, so let's go down to the bottom. So 6 million. I wonder if this is ad revenue. Oh, he does have it go all the way back. Okay, yeah, so I see. So, we do need to start at the top. So he shows 2025 December, and it's going to go all the way down to November, October. We should start at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom. So in February, she made about 6,000 for an episode, 7,000, 6,000, 4,000 into March, 9,000, 5,000, 4,000, and it's sort of going up, but then back down and up and down, but it's around between 5, 6, 7. Then, so these are all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just going back and forth. 12 seemed to be the highest, back and forth. Then when we get to They Are Lying to You, initial Charlie Kirk tribute, she made 42,000 off that. Then They're Lying to You About Charlie Kirk, the next episode, which is nuts. Like, how could you? All these people are such crazy people. She made 54,000. Then the next episode, 34,000. Then 27, 20, 28,000, 21,000, 19,000, 17,000, 18,000, 20,400, 18,000, 17,400, 18,000, 16,000, 18,000, 13,000. Now we're in October. 17,000, 22,000, 15,000, 13,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 9,000, 12,000, 15,000, 16,000, 12,000, 15,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 9, 11, 12, 13, 13, 13, 13, 10, 14, 9, 12, 16, 17, 27,000, 14,000, 15,000, 18,000. So down here, before she starts talking about Charlie Kirk's, this whole conspiracy theory and just completely degrading his friend's family and wife, before that, it's not in the double digits very often. And when it is, it's, the highest one. She did have a 22,000 there. Wonder what that episode was about, but like, it's not consistently like that. Then you get up here after that, and it's consistently double digits. Huge amounts of money. So it certainly pays to have that going on. Now, let me see. I want to show you something else while we're talking about that. Okay, so this is Gary's Twitter, and it says, lying pays big time. Baron Coleman rakes in over $12K per week just in super chats, pushing lies and slandering people. So, and this guy, until he started going down this route with Candace, his channel wasn't that big. He wasn't making any of this money. And this doesn't even tell you the ads, because you get X amount of money. Like, it depends on what YouTube pays you, because everybody sort of makes a different rate, but it can be anywhere from $7 to $15 per 1,000 views, let's just say. So this is his total year-to-date super chat. And just in the last 7 days, this is what he's made. Selling lies about Charlie Kirk's assassination and degrading his friends and his wife. This is what pays in America now. Because everybody who's standing up to it, they don't make any of this type of money. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that's what it means, but I find it interesting. Back to the article. So the last thing we read was, I was content to accept that theory. Nobody in DC cares what Candace Owens thinks about anything, one of Trump's staffers told me. Others regaled me with stories about her reputation. She was known to charge outrageous appearance fees, they said, and she routinely demanded private jets. More shockingly is what they told me next. The president himself had blocked her access because she was perceived as a liability with Jewish donors who believed she was anti-Semitic. I know that he is not letting her step foot in this place, one concluded. The backlash she brings isn't worth it to him. By midnight, the group from the White House had relocated to the home of a friend who happened to be close with Candace's husband. Washington is a small town, I've learned, and media is an even smaller industry. And what had begun as a petty exchange had metastasized into a viral spectacle. One member of the group, Savannah Chrisley, became a lone voice of dissent. She stretched out on a long white couch, still in her gown, and she tried to stop me from continuing to engage in the spat. I ignored her. Before I went to sleep, I fired off one more post, an image of Candace and her husband, clad in matching MAGA-themed caps at their wedding reception. I added a snarky remark about how frustrating it must be to be exiled by Trump after wearing her devotion to him on her wedding day. The day was over, but the feud had just started. It would play out episodically. And that's where we're going to pause the story for today. In this installment, we continued digging into the early days of Candace Owens' rise, the moment when her platform was growing rapidly, and when some creators and commentators were already beginning to question the narrative surrounding her. We also continued working through the Candace Owens Undone reporting from House and Habit, which adds another layer of context to that period and to the reactions unfolding around her at the time. But this timeline is far from complete. In the next part of the series, we're going to continue moving forward through these early moments, looking at more of the commentary that started appearing across different platforms and how the questions surrounding Candace Owens' messaging and tactics continued to grow. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. I always appreciate hearing your thoughts and perspectives. And as always, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Eclectic Journalist.